very interesting video to present to you, and it's made more special because I have an old friend here, Johnny, who has known me from my pearly days back in 1980. I was chairman of the British Bonsai Association from 80 to 87, and in those days I used to go all over the country giving talks on bonsai. And I think you must have come across me when I used to go to the South End Bonsai Society to give talks.
Yeah.
South End Bonsai Society used to be a huge club. They used to have people come from all over Essex and beyond, and some of the meetings had 130 people in attendance. They used to meet, I think, in St. Mary's Church Hall.
That's
St.
right.
Mary's Church Hall, and John Southworth was the chairman, but yeah, I think he's passed on. But anyway, those were the days. So we go back a long time.
We do, Peter, yes.
And you remember me from my
Yeah.
pearly days,
Early,
before
yeah.
I came here.
Yeah.
Pearly days, and you just told me that you used to come because I used to open my garden for bonsai visitors.
You did, yes.
And by that time I had quite a collection
You
in
did,
my garden.
yeah, very nice.
And you
yeah.
remember that 300 or 500-year-old tree chained to the benches?
I do.
I have that tree here still. It belongs to customers here for trimming.
Yeah.
So we go back a long, long time, and that's the beauty of bonsai. We grow with the trees and we enjoy the trees, and sadly, I wouldn't say sadly, our trees will outlive us. I'm sure
They
the trees
will,
will outlive us.
yes, they
Trees live much longer than human beings.
Yeah.
But that is another story altogether. So tell me about these two trees you brought today.
Well,
These are the rough bark Chinese elms.
Yes.
Very rare tree, rough bark elm. Okay. What about this one?
Well, this one was from 3 cuttings.
3 cuttings. How long ago was that you made?
About 84,
84.
something like that.
So that's 40 years in the making.
Yeah.
40, more than 40 years from a cutting,
They've actually been in this pot about 25 years.
and not repotted.
Oh, I have repotted
Okay.
it a couple of times,
Yes.
but not for a while.
Okay.
But I've brought it today so that
Okay.
you can perform
Okay.
your magic.
Right, we will do something to it. As I always say, there is no argument for not exploring and seeing how you can improve or beautify this. So straight away, I can do something to this. Let's look at each one in turn. Let's look at this one dispassionately first. By the way, these rough bark Chinese elms, for those people who do not know their species, what you see sold, commonly sold in garden centers and other nurseries, are the Chinese elms from China. And they are the smooth bark ones. And they are slightly less hardy than the rough bark ones. The rough bark ones were developed or grown mainly in Japan, and in Japan we used to import quite a few of these rough bark elms. I still have 1 or 2. So they are less common than the other smooth bark ones that you find commonly sold. Now, because you've grown the 3 cuttings together for the last 41 or 42 years, the roots have completely meshed. I wouldn't even attempt to take it apart. It would do a lot of harm to the tree. What I would do with this tree is beautifully trained. Look at the ramification, beautiful ramification there. And because you're an experienced bonsai grower, I wouldn't fault you one bit. Now, I had in mind to make this into a landscape. So I will take it out of the pot. I will show you what I had in mind. One of these long mica pots would make a lovely setting for it, slightly off center like this, and then we will put some rocks to make a landscape. And so I'm going to now take the group out of the pot and see how.
Well, it has got a wire.
Okay. I dare say, when did you last repot it? It may be a bit pot bound.
About 3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years. And most deciduous trees, and especially the elm and the trident maple, they're extremely vigorous trees. So if they're very vigorous trees, I think the roots will be very, very tight in the pot,
I think.
severely pot bound. But no matter, we can probably get it out.
There's another one there.
Okay. So if I remind you, this sickle tool is specifically made for situations like this. We will look at the roots. Is this an action planting you're putting here?
Oh no, it's self-sown.
Oh, weed.
That's an original. It's a very pretty plant.
Yeah, I can see the leaves are quite interesting.
And it has pink and white flowers.
Oh, okay.
Pink buds.
Okay.
And they open out and they become white. And I saw that Great Dixter last year on the brick wall, a whole row, and it looked absolutely beautiful.
So you propagated from that?
Well, I bought some,
Oh,
and they seed prolifically.
oh, okay.
So I've got quite a few now.
Okay, if you don't mind, I'll keep them.
You can, you'll enjoy that Peter,
Okay.
because you like a flower or two, don't you?
One of the great joys of the hobby is that you meet all sorts of interesting people, and you're one of them. And I'm sure
Thank
people
you.
all over the world will have the same experience. Once you get to know people, you know, they're real friends, and over a long, long period, we grow with the trees. So it's lovely to see you and to enjoy your trees again.
Always lovely to see you, Peter.
Okay. So it's not too pot bound.
No.
I think 3 years is about the right frequency for repotting. I always try to remind people, can take this pot away. I always remind people not to repot every year.
Yes.
Every year is not necessary.
There's no need for that.
No. And this is a very nice compost, nice and open, not too gritty, because deciduous trees I find don't like excessive grit. You know, you have to have a bit of organic. So you can see the soil is a bit of organic, a bit of grit. This nice compost you used.
Yeah.
Was it your own formula?
Yeah, just buy
Okay.
it, bit from here, bit from there,
Okay,
and mix it up.
all right. I'm not going to show the mundane parts of teasing the roots, but I'm just going to explain what I'm about to do, and then I will show it to you again. So my idea was to put it off-center, asymmetric, what we call, and then landscape it. Nice long pot to balance the height of the tree, and I would, with your permission, take one branch off. I know you could aerial it, but it may be too
Bank
close
trick.
to bank trick. Okay, so that branch there, I think it's clouding a bit because the trunks are clashing. If I can suggest we take just one branch off, it will improve it no end. It's this branch that I want to remove. Can you see if I remove that branch, can you see that doesn't clash now? You see, so you see all the trunks separately.
Right, yeah.
So that, and you've still got enough ramification there. See, if I remove the bag, you see how confusing that becomes. You see? So this one I'm going to cut off from there. Do you agree?
You've got a free hand, Peter.
Oh, you're very trusting. Okay, so if you've given me a free hand, I will do just that.
Okay.
So I don't waste time. This massive tool, I will just take that off.
Wow.
There it goes.
Okay.
And now, this one is dead. I don't think there's any point of even using it for jiggles at the back. That can go as well. So that is all we removed. So can you see how clean looking that group has become? And you've trimmed it in a beautiful conical shape.
Yeah.
Top marks to you. Really nice, really nice. And then we will compose this. So we will stop the filming, we will repot it, and then we will start adding the local rocks. We'll call you again. So let's now do the beautiful part, which is making it a proper landscape. So for that purpose, I'm going to put some rocks to give the impression that this little group of trees is growing on top of a small hillock, and the outcrops of rock are just jutting out to make it look natural. When people place rocks, they tend to be too greedy. Like anything in life, you can be too greedy and you can have too much of a good thing. Like some ladies I know, if they have jewelry and they go to a wedding, they try and wear all the jewelry they possess. It doesn't work like that. You just got to put one nice piece. So it's the same thing with landscaping like that. Don't cover this with like 50 rocks. You will spoil the effect completely. Just a few discrete pieces will make. Oh, yeah, less is more, absolutely. And this is one of the fundamentals of especially Japanese aesthetics, where less is more. And the beauty is in arranging the composition with moss to make it look natural as possible. I know that come the spring, the birds start pecking the moss.
They do.
But no matter, you know, if they peck it, we will just go and find some more moss and put some more moss. But they use it for nesting, to line their nests.
Yeah.
So let me show you the final outcome. All we've done is removed one branch so that the space between the first tree on the left and the middle tree is clear, no clutter. The ramification is perfect. The shape with that slight asymmetrical conical shape is perfect. And all the trunks have got a lovely movement. They're not dead straight, they've got movement. So top marks to you, Johnny, for composing this. And you notice a little artistic touch there. The two trees there are close together and one is slightly apart. So all this asymmetric design goes with the aesthetics that we try to create in bonsai. And just a few rocks, again, I've put 4 rocks, unlucky number. Look at that, 1 rock there, and those 2 are put together because if they were widely spaced, they may not look so good. And I wouldn't put more than that. More than that might become too much. It could be excessive and would spoil it. So that is how I change the look of that group. I'll compare it with the before and after shot to give you a comparison of what can be changed. So when we create bonsai, you don't always have to completely alter the shape of the trees. All we've done is repot it and put it in a different configuration in the pot. That's all we've done.
Yeah.
So it's like finding a new picture frame for a picture, and it transforms the complete picture. Now we're going to come to this one, this other elm which you've grown, and we'll analyze that one in turn to see what happens to that. So here we are with this elm, and Johnny tells me that it's been here for how many years?
At least 20.
At least 20. Never changed the pot?
No.
And it's thickened all the time?
I did, prior to that, I did pot it on a couple of times, but it's been in there a long time.
So you reckon this again grown from cutting, what, 30 years, 40 years?
Yeah, yeah.
So that is older than a lot of our viewers, I bet.
I bet it is, yeah.
Now to try and get it out, I will have to use my rubber mallet. Luckily this is a plastic flower pot. It is pretty tight. It is pretty tight.
Can I assist you at all, Pete?
No, we will see how we get it out. I'm sure a lot of our other viewers have a similar problem. There you are. Okay, and we'll turn it. That's coming out, don't worry. It's almost out. It's out. It is almost out. There you go.
Well done.
See, so that's how we yanked it out. And now, the moment of truth. Because if it hasn't been done for 20 years, I'm surprised it's not that pot bound.
Sorry?
It's not very pot bound. I know the center
Really?
is the center's solid. Center is solid. Some thick roots there, going round and round.
Like they do.
Look at that thick root. It's about ½ inch thick, that root.
Yeah. That's the thing, they have to go somewhere, don't they? Maybe I should have put it in a pot a long time ago.
But I think if you pot it on too much or put it in too large a pot, you won't get the fine ramification.
No, you won't.
If you put it in a tight pot, you get slower growth and you get more detailed ramifications. So
Yeah.
there's a case for doing either, you know, grow it as a big tree or grow it as a fine tree with a lot of detail. So let me show you. This is what the root ball looks like. Lots of organic matter here. And there's a lot of gritty soil, so this is a very good compost, although it may look black. And look at these thick roots. Lots of thick roots in there. And because we don't need the thick roots, we need the fine roots. There's no harm in cutting off the thick roots. I still like using this tool, but there's so many other types of repotting tools on the market now. A lot of our staff prefer the stubby single prong tool, each one to their own. I'm trying to reduce the root ball to a shallower depth so that it can fit a shallower pot. This was in like a 9-inch deep flower pot, and I'm not going to plant it in a 9-inch bonsai pot. So although it was chock solid, it still drains because there's quite a bit of grit in this. Don't forget, Johnny's an experienced grower. So you see the amount of grit in there. So that's
Yeah.
very good. So the soil drains, even though it may look pot bound. Like when you mound a bonsai in the bonsai pot, some people say, oh, how will the water get in? Water will get in. You don't have to worry about that. When we put it in a bonsai pot, it'll have more room to grow laterally. Because it's in a round flower pot for so many years, the roots have just gone round and round. The main purpose is really to loosen the soil so whatever roots are in there can spread out. And the tips of the roots will send new shoots, adventitious shoots to grow outwards. When to choose the pot. the pot is like the clothes people wear. Not that I'm a good dresser, but you know, the pot makes a big difference. Some people call it the picture frame, but I like to think of it as the clothes. So we could either put it in a round pot like this, and the front of the tree, I would say, could be either way, either that side or this side, or like this side. Of course, if you have a round pot, it doesn't matter. I would just open these out a little bit with a bit of wire. So that is one pot. But I have another pot, which is an oval. And this oval is what we call a flared oval. It flares out and it gives it a more light appearance. That means it's light and airy. And the height in relation to the tree, this is about, I would say 60%, which is about the right proportion. So I would say this is a much better pot for that tree. So we will know when we've potted it up. So do you agree, Johnny? You prefer this one to the...
I do, yeah.
So there we are. So I always have to respect the customer's opinion. And most people who have been doing bonsai for a while, they have a very good eye. So I don't always say that the customer is always right, but for most of the time, they are right. And after all, at the end of the day, the customer has to live with the tree. So it's no good forcing your taste on a particular customer. I think it's very arrogant for people to say, you've got to like what I like. You know? Because everyone's tastes are not the same. If it was like that, then the world would be a very boring place. So I won't show you the detail of potting it up. All I will do is put a piece of wire, fill it with soil, and then I will just tweak some of these branches. So we are potted in a new pot. So the object of this exercise is to show you how simply putting it in another pot changes the entire look of the tree. I haven't done anything to it. Again, to discuss the aesthetics of this tree, the conventional shape of this tree would be not to have these three lower branches, because they just like the single trunk. This is what I mean. Let's use the bag again. People would simply have the tree like so, just with the trunk like that, and no branches showing. That's how they would like the tree to look. But I do respect Johnny's opinion. Can you come and just say something?
Yeah, sure.
And my view is that with these branches growing here, which in effect act as sacrificial branches, it gives the tree a natural look, because in nature you do find trees that have these branches growing from quite low, especially elms, the English elm sometimes in the hedgerows and all, they do grow like this. So what's your thought? You like it there?
I
You
do.
good for a very
Yeah,
good
I think
reason.
it makes it look
Natural,
natural shape.
shape. So I would fault it. This is one style of growing it, and I think the ramification is simply done by pruning the ends. For the viewers who are not familiar with it, this simply comes by pruning the ends, which I'm sure Johnny does all the time. So simply by doing this, you get more and more ramification.
That's it.
So this is one finished product. So if you come to this one, so this was the other finished product. We will show it to you again. This is the landscape we created. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Meeting an old friend from more than 40 years back, 1980, 45 years. So we go back a long time.